Hi, blessings. So, I have about 25 questions that I'm going to go through. Uh, can you describe what led you to start using? What led me to using was my ex husband, who introduced me to opiates, benzos, mushrooms, cocaine, and meth. Tricked me and said he had cocaine, and it turned out to be meth. And ultimately, I think it was due to the fact that I had undiagnosed PTSD. So, I think I was turning to self medicating without knowing it. What was your drug of choice and how long were you using? Opiates, but that led to meth and crack. Somebody that I started dating who turned into my batterer slash torturer was a meth addict and dealer. He told me basically that meth could help the withdrawals or take them away, and he was right. So it took a few months of trying to convince me, but ultimately I ended up doing it and I was instantly hooked. Um, I was hooked on opiates for about 10 years, um, and then found Suboxone for 11 years. Meth was off and on from about 2002 to 2020. How did addiction affect your relationships, career, or daily life? Being on opiates in the beginning was hard because I didn't know that I was addicted to the pain pills and had no clue that the withdrawal brought on mood swings. I was in a relationship and he had broken up with me because of a lot of arguing due to mood swings. So that was when I realized I was addicted and that I was having withdrawals in between each fix. I couldn't do anything unless I had enough pills to last. I would be asked by my ex fiance to go to Vegas for the weekend and unable to get a hold of any dealer, so I had to make up a reason why I couldn't go. Sometimes I would fall asleep in the movies, and while riding in the car for short distances, I danced, so I used while I was dancing. It was sick. I needed to dance to use, and I had to use to dance. I would literally go in and make enough money for a new bottle of opiates, and I would leave to the dealer as soon as I made it. Sometimes I would have to tell my ex fiance that I didn't make enough for the rent because I just couldn't work longer without the pills. I couldn't explain that to him, so I lied. It made me feel so much shame and guilt. Was there a specific turning point when you realized you had a problem? Nobody, I'm sorry. I was driving to school one day and I reached into my purse to take out my morning dose out of a baggie that I had. When I realized that I didn't have enough to get me through the day, in fact, I had only enough to take at that moment, I had to call a dealer to ask if I paid more if they would come to deliver it to my school. I could have got kicked out, but I had a one-track mind. I had to get well, or I was useless, or so I thought. Were there any warning signs others noticed before you did? Nobody noticed any warning signs in me at first, but sudden mood changes affected many of my relationships and caused some to not want to be around me anymore. But no one really knew until further on in my addiction. Then I had a family member tell me that I was standing up, talking to her, and nodded out. So I'm sure there were many signs once it was in full swing. I also remember dropping weight rapidly and feeling like I didn't fit into any of my clothes. I was so self-conscious at that point in my life. I think I got down to like 96 pounds and I'm like 5'1". What was your rock bottom moment? I've had a few rock bottom moments because my rock bottom had trapdoors. I thought I had hit rock bottom when I was first living in a tent in the backyard of an ex's grandmother's home. I thought I had hit rock bottom when I flipped a car 7 times and when I lost my kids to CPS. I thought I hit rock bottom when I wound up in jail 19 times and when I was kicking Suboxone cold turkey. My rock bottom most recently was having to go to the psych ward and then a shelter afterwards as I waited to get housing. Did someone intervene or did you seek help on your own? No one intervened with it, but my mom helped me to get to the very first detox center that I went to. In fact, I used to watch the show Intervention and pray and wish that somebody would intervene in my situation because I desperately wanted help and I didn't know where to get it or how to even look for it or what to look for. I was so lost and so new to addiction, but so full swing into it that like I said, I felt like I was useless. What were your thoughts or emotions during your first attempt to get clean? My first attempt to get clean was utter hell. I sat in my room and rocked myself like a crazy person and cried. I did not think to pray at the time, so I just sat and or lay there in agony. I remember thinking that I could probably escape and find someone with opiates in the area I was in because I grew up there. I felt I could find somebody I knew. What a joke. One thing also that I forgot to put in here that I remember happening was when I was in this detox. It was a medical detox, so I had basically like a room that seemed like a hospital room, and somebody continuously kept pulling the emergency alarm, and we would have to go down a bunch of flights of stairs and walk outside to the pavement. It was like a blacktop for like an elementary school, it seemed. And I just remember I had my blanket wrapped around me because I was shivering cold, and it was probably about 90 degrees outside, and the pavement was so hot, I'm sure, but it felt warm to me and cozy, so I laid there and or rocked myself like a crazy person. Okay, what kind of treatment or recovery program did you choose? The first time I went to a medically assisted detox, ultimately cold turkey was the way I learned to not go back to any of it. Like I hear in AA, they say, if you don't remember your last drunk, then it's not your last. So I figure if I don't remember my last withdrawals, then it's not my last. And I do have 3 sobriety dates, and I remember every single one of them vividly. And I do believe that they are my last. So, first one was December 23rd, 2020, and that was off of meth. I had gotten off of opiates a long time before that because I just realized that I had been on Suboxone for 11 years. So I stopped taking Suboxone March 4th, 2021, and I relapsed on alcohol and got back to my sobriety August 20th of 2021. So let's see, what was the hardest part of early recovery? For me, the physical and mental aspects of detoxing opiates was by far the hardest for me. Meth was hard because it was a mental thing and it was very spiritual as well, I believe. That one was easier because I prayed it away. The opiate withdrawal is so difficult mentally and physically that it takes everything that I have in me to get through it. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, it takes everything I have. Did you relapse? If so, what did you learn from it? Yes, I chronically relapsed for about 2 decades. I learned something each time and got stronger with each one. So I feel each one was a lesson and taught me more about myself. I learned how strong I truly am, and I learned how to detox myself. And I learned that I wasn't going to go crazy and I was not going to die. And I learned also that the detox comes in ebbs and flows. So it's not going to consistently last. It's going to like peak and then get better, and then peak and then get better. It's like a contraction. So you just gotta sit there and write it out and figure just a few more minutes and it'll be done, and then I'll have relief for a few minutes. So that's how I got through it. What tools or practices helped you stay clean? Working out and working on my mental health. These two things have helped me keep sober, but God is the reason for every good thing in my life. And that is the truth. How important is community or support? Examples: therapy, church, in your journey. Community and support are extremely important to me. I attend church and psychiatry appointments. I will be starting prolonged exposure therapy next month and expect to have a lot more growth and change in myself. I'm excited about it. I haven't felt for 25 years that I have been ready to do any treatment for my PTSD from the military, and I'm finally ready. So I am really excited and looking forward to it because I know that it brings a whole new level of growth and healing. So I am really, really excited about it. What does a day in your sober life look like now? Daily gratitude list, prayer, waking up thanking God for the day, daily walks, playing with my puppy and working on training her, writing and studying. I have a peaceful life now, and I devote most of my time to God. I started to crochet. I've learned how to paint. I've realized that I know how to draw, and I'm just learning more and more about myself each day. It's really cool. How have your relationships changed in recovery? I was never able to even maintain a relationship, and now I'm married and have most of my family back in my life. So that shows God works. I lost my place. What new habits or passions have you developed? I have started acrylic and watercolor painting and crocheting. I learned that I do know how to draw and have been drawing ballerinas a lot. I paint flowers and rainbows. I can't think of other things to paint or draw that I could possibly do. Like, I can't draw like some scenic landscape backdrop. I just not that good. Anyways, so let's see. How do you deal with cravings or triggers today? God has honestly removed the obsessions of any cravings. I get thoughts here and there of alcohol, but I rebuke the thoughts instantly and they go away. Like, my father died, and I instantly thought, I want a beer. But I rebuked the thought and I changed my actions really quickly. There's a thing we say in AA: move a muscle, change a thought. So when you move a muscle, you change that thought. And changing the thought makes the thought of alcohol go away like that. So I like to do that. What does accountability look like for you now? I do AA meetings online and in person, and I go to church to keep myself accountable to others and myself. It helps to keep in contact with friends frequently to talk about things going on in life and to make sure they still know that I'm still clean and sober. What would you tell your younger self? Stay away from all substances because one try could get you hooked and ruin your entire life. One try, and you're done. And don't try to grow up so fast because life starts to speed up as you get older. What are the biggest misconceptions people have about addiction or recovery? I think people believe that we set out to be addicts. Most of us just happen to be with the wrong people most of us just happen to be with the wrong people who I allowed to influence me negatively. I guess I'm talking about myself. If I had chosen my circle better, I might not have gotten into all the messes I have found myself in over the last 4 decades. What advice would you give to someone who wants to get clean but feels stuck? Pray, pray, pray. God could and would if he were sought is something that is said in AA literature, and in the Bible it states, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." Matthew 6:33. When I fixed my eyes on Jesus, all of the addictions were lifted and the withdrawals were hard, but I know that God intervened and made it easier so that I would follow through with it. Seek medication-assisted detox if you have been on opiates for a long time, and do not get on Suboxone because it only prolongs the withdrawal and makes it worse in the end. Has spirituality or faith played a role in your recovery? Actually, I want to say one more thing about the last one. Go easy on yourself, and if you're ever hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, sit your butt down and don't do anything but eat, rest, contact somebody maybe, or sleep. I don't know. Has spirituality or faith played a role in your recovery? Absolutely. Without God, I am nothing and can do nothing. It says in the Bible, with God, all things are possible. Matthew 19:26. And I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. Philippians 4:13. What are your goals moving forward? Well, I just got married June 12th, so I am going to enjoy that honeymoon phase. I intend to continue sharing bits and pieces of my testimony with others and continue to pray for others. I want to eventually open a non-for-profit to somehow help female veterans in any way, especially in recovery. Do you consider yourself fully recovered, or is it still a daily process? I do not consider myself fully recovered because I still take prescriptions and smoke, both that I am praying about. But recovered from hard drugs and alcohol, yes. I believe in my heart and soul that God delivered me from the grips of those addictions. Those were the hardest for me, and I am so concerned about not going back that I make sure I keep somewhat of a routine. I get up and do a morning reading of the Bible and write a gratitude list out. Then I eat and go for a walk with my new baby puppy and attend AA meetings online. I keep myself accountable to others who have known me for about 5 years online and in person, some of them. How do you define success in recovery? To me, success in recovery is making it a full 24 hours without the substances that I have quit, not entertaining the thoughts that come to my mind occasionally to have a drink. If I make it through 24 hours today, then I can deal with tomorrow when it comes, and it will be sober. Nothing that I do, let's see, how does it go? My worst day sober is better than my best day drunk. Like, nothing that is at the bottom of a bottle is going to help any problem that I have today. So I know to stay away from alcohol. Opiates, they make my skin crawl now, so luckily I can't even do those, even if I thought, that would be a good idea. No, it's not, because it'll make me feel like I'm cracked out, and it's a horrible feeling, so I don't do it. Well, hopefully I answered these questions adequately, and hopefully these are enough questions to help somebody if you're trying to help a family member or loved one that is trying to get clean and sober, or if you're just trying to understand addiction. Hopefully this helps. All right, so take care, God bless, and shalom.